Breaking the cycle to step forward. Authentic conversations from lived experience and a professional perspective in overcoming abuse with Chris and Beverley Ann.
Hello and welcome to Breaking the Cycle to Step Forward. I'm Beverley Ann and I'm joined by the lovely co-host.
Hi everyone, it's Chris. Hope you're all well.
And this episode is our April Q&A, Chris, and we've had a question come in from someone who watches our videos. You have the question there, don't you?
We do indeed. So Cheryl has emailed us to ask, how do you keep so positive all of the time? Exclamation mark. Over to you, Bev.
I can't believe we're doing this one because for anyone who's listening and not watching, I have no makeup on. I am absolutely shattered because I'm trying to submit a 3,000 word essay, which as a dyslexic is an absolute nightmare. And I thought it was just me. I want to do it. I absolutely want to do it. I keep looking at the end goal. I use all my self-care techniques. And yet today I hit a bit of a brick wall. And I actually, for the first time in a very, very long time, experienced the start of a migraine. And so I know I'm on low, very low energy, but I have a task to complete. So this is where I really need to up my self-care, but I also to ensure that my brain will be cognitive and enable me to do it. But I also want to get it out of the way because the stress, I'm getting in the way of myself. There you go.
And we all do that, don't we, when we're low on energy? And I am also low on energy today, but I'm in a different situation to you, Bev. I haven't really got a deadline looming. I'm in a bit of a lull at the moment. I'm not exactly very busy, but I find these lull moments. So I've got lots of stuff coming up and big stuff coming up. And I know that this is a time that I should be recharging and just going with the flow. But I feel so uncomfortable being in a lull. Lull, just in case I'm not saying that correctly for some people. Being in this sort of like downward, quite calm phase where I'm usually very manic, not manic in myself, but manic as in busy. And I'm doing this, doing that, and I'm doing 3 or 4 different things at once and And I think on reflection, I thrive on that kind of work mode. Not all of the time, but most of the time, because that is just my normal. So when I get these lull moments, it's very unnerving, and I can find it more tiring.
Yeah, but that's sometimes, so this is the good thing about it. And this is where, if we're not careful, we rely on the adrenaline and the cortisol in our body to keep pushing through. And when we're aware of it, like I know that I'm relying on cortisol at the moment so that I can get this deadline completed. But I also know there's going to be a downside to that. And I need to be aware so that I can keep myself well. And that's what I'm hearing from you. You're not thriving, as in you're not running on adrenaline. You're not using your cortisol. You're not running on that. And so your body is actually taking time to heal. It's like, oh, I've got a chance to actually relax a little bit. And it's a very different feeling for you.
Yeah, one I don't like, to be fair.
But your body needs it.
I think my whole life I've been in this adrenaline and cortisol cycle, and especially going through perimenopause, and now I think I'm in the menopause phase because I haven't had a period for quite a few months now. Sorry if that's too much information, but it's just, it's the
mechanics of a woman.
It's the joy of being a woman, being a female. And often some of those symptoms of perimenopause also mimic PTSD.
Yeah.
So, you know, your sleep is disrupted, your moods are up and down, your balance of self-care can be on a bit of a tidal wave. You know, you can become completely depressed being perimenopausal if you're not aware of what's going on for you. So I think that there's a lot going on at the moment, and as you rightly said, my body does need that rest, but it's very unnerving.
Well, it's different because your body's used to running at full charge. And like you said, you've always got lots going on. And so this is a different experience. And that's what makes it feel strange. And
Yeah,
sometimes, let's be honest, a bit uncomfortable because
yeah, completely.
this is different, but it's also something to think about embracing. So I'm very aware that although I have a deadline and I want to get things done, I know that my brain will only function for so many hours. So even
Yeah,
today, where we're doing this podcast, I know that I will do something for a while after the podcast, and then I'm actually going to have a bath
yeah,
because I need to physically reset myself a little bit and take it in chunks. And I think this is one of the important things about thinking about self-care, because we often say, like, well, what's self-care?
yeah.
And actually, for me today, I know that physically I need to relax my body more to enable my mind to be cognitive.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. So obviously we've been hearing about that you've got a deadline, so you're on that work mode at the moment, and I'm in this lull period. However, at the end of the week, I shared with you, I've got a big opportunity, speaking opportunity coming up. And I've literally been working on this for 3 weeks, you know, getting my story, getting my slides done, and then writing out exactly what it is I want to deliver, what my messaging is going to be. And this is all to drive the charity forwards and get that much needed funding to enable us to carry on being sustainable, but also to grow so we can reach more people. So it's really important for me, okay? And also, I don't want to let myself down. I have found my voice, like we all have, but for me, this is more about being more, not of a perfectionist, but delivering it in a way where it's not just reading from a presentation or um, it's trying to really show why the charity exists, why it's needed, and why we need people to come on board. So it's like me selling a piece of my soul. And because I'm doing that, I want to do it right.
Yes, absolutely. And before we came on to the recording, we had a conversation and we were talking about inner child. And this is where I often find in certain circumstances like that, where we found a voice when, you know, our inner child wasn't listened to, was
Yeah,
ignored, was pushed away, whatever the experience was. I think whilst we all want to do well, I think when we've experienced a form of trauma where we have been silenced or pushed away or not believed, not heard, we want to even more.
yeah.
Like there's that, and it's another level. We want to be recognised, and that's
Hmm.
not recognised as in fanfare, but it's like I
No,
can do this.
yeah,
See, I can do this.
yeah.
You know, and also we all look outwards and think that we're being judged by others, but how often do we judge ourselves?
Oh God, the judgment at the moment is above and beyond. It's like, who are you? Who's going to listen to you? They're going to look out for all your mistakes. They're going to do this. And I can actually talk myself out of it. So what I've been doing, Bev, I'm on TikTok watching speakers who deliver courses talking about how they present, and I'm picking up as much information as I can. I'm thinking, well, I can do that. I can do that. So I'm just checking in with the reality of the situation. So I've got this little thing on my shoulder going, negative Nancy, blah, blah, blah. But then I've got this other positive Jess on my shoulder going, no, you've got this. You have got this. So it's the battle of the voices at the moment. And I've got to just make sure that it's the positive Jess one that I'm listening to.
And I love your analogies, because basically the cognitive thinking is, yes, I've got this, I can do it. It's the subconscious. It's the beliefs about your experiences, excuse me, experiences and opinions of others you've had around you that hold you back. And that's where those voices come from. And I'm absolutely with you. You know, before I started writing the module, I was like, yeah, I've got it. And now I've got one-to-one support. I've got all different things like, yeah, there was a bit of a high moment. Yeah, I've got this, I can do this. And then when it comes to writing, even with the support, it's still that I'm going to be judged. And my brain just shuts down, and it's like, I know this. Why can't I write it? But, you know, this shows we're human.
But we know that you're going to submit that essay.
Yes.
We know it. We know it deep down. We know that I'm going to deliver this speech and I'm going to be proud of it. So you're going to be proud of yourself. I'm going to be proud of myself. And we know that we are going to change people around us because of our involvement, because of our experiences when we go forward and share it. But I was just thinking about other people that may not be in our shoes at the moment, because we know that we are going to be okay, even with all of this little bit of negative Nancy going on. Sorry if you're a Nancy. But there are many people out there that really do self-sabotage because they have been mentally, psychologically abused. They've been told they're really not good enough, and that's been backed up by physical abuse, sexual abuse, whatever it is their experience is, or bullying, because bullying can just be just as damaging, coercive control,
it's emotional.
all of that kind of thing. So they may have an opportunity that knocks on their door, and they want to take it, but they just cannot take that step because they've got all of this stuff haunting them. Do you have any words of wisdom, Bev?
Yes, and I think the biggest thing there is making sure you're not doing it independently, because we know one of the skills of survival, and I am going to say skills because it's resilience, but one of the skills of that is we have learned so well that sometimes in childhood that we need to do this on our own. We take ourselves away, we isolate, we then become distrustful of people around us. And that's what happens. It's like nobody else is going to care for me. I can't trust anybody. So I'm going to do this on my own. And when we do that, we actually, the thing we most fear is what we perpetuate, because we don't ask for support. We're unable to ask for support. You know, that means being vulnerable and saying, can you help me? And if we don't know how to ask for it, and we don't trust anybody, and we're fearful of the response we're going to get, it makes it even harder. Whereas the old saying of when you share a problem, you halve it, is so true, because as soon as you speak to a person, even, you know, earlier on when you were sharing your speech with me, you know, it gives you clarity, and I was able to feed back something. Do you see what I mean? But you get a gauge on where you truly are and not being stuck in your head. And I can share that as well, as in today, I had 2 hours of one-to-one. And one of the things that came to light was, you know, when you're on your own studying, where do you gauge yourself?
Yeah.
You know, in my mind, I was all the negative Nancy's, as you say. I wasn't capable, I couldn't do this, but there was a part of me that was like, of course I know this. I know this inside out. I just don't know how to write it in somebody else's language. I know how to verbalize it in my language, but I can't. There's a block when it comes to understanding, and that's what I'm learning.
Do you think that's the academia around it? Because you and I, we sort of like break things down to layman's terms. So we try and put things across so that people can tangibly get us. Whereas I mean, I'm not an academic, I haven't got a degree, but what I hear from you is that it has to be written in a certain way, and that is not the language that you speak on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely. And we're going to come back to those people that are feeling in that place too, because they will feel as well that they're not speaking the language that other people want them to speak. And that's where it becomes really challenging, because think of different scenarios, that even sometimes going into a shop, I know that, like, on a good day, I'll walk up to somebody in a shop and say, oh, excuse me, I'm looking for such and such, where is it? But on a day where I may be feeling lower, or, when we had to wear masks all the time, I found that really triggering for me, because I couldn't register somebody's face. And if you've had a bad experience and you go up to somebody and you say, excuse me, and they turn around, what?
Yeah.
And you're unable then to ask the simplest of things, like, where is something? Your confidence goes. And that's not you, not that you've done anything wrong. It's about where you are currently.
And I think one of the things about how to rebuild self-esteem once it's been shattered is that start with things maybe that you like doing. So we were doing a drawing and colouring thing at the weekend. Not my bag usually, but I found it very therapeutic, and I know you do. So I was just literally drawing, and it's just almost like at the end of it, even though it was uncomfortable for me, because I'm crap at art. I just am. I'm not artsy, but I can write. I can put good presentations together. I can get things out there. So someone challenged me and they said, "But you are creative. You're not just creative in the way that you think creative is.
Yeah,
You've written books. That's creative." I'm like, "Oh,
absolutely.
okay. So apparently I am creative. I'm
You
just not
are.
artsy."
You're
Um,
very creative. And this is the thing. We talk about judgment of others, but see how you're judging yourself. And we
yeah.
all
Do it all
do
the
that.
time.
And
Yeah.
when we get a negative response from someone, like they may talk to us shortly, it's like we internalize that and think, whoa, that must be my fault. It must be something about me.
But it's about doing those little things for yourself that give you pleasure and give you happiness, and that will rebuild your self-esteem, and then that gives you the confidence over time to take those steps in the direction that makes you feel uncomfortable, but over time you get the confidence to do it.
And sometimes it's thinking about yourself as a young child, and re-nurturing. I know that when I was learning all this, the only way to do it, and even now if I become overwhelmed, I think of myself as little Beverley. So little
Yeah,
Beverley didn't have the standard, regular, loving, nurturing, a positive attachment with my parents as
yeah.
every young person expects and
Oh,
deserves.
yeah, 100%.
So now it's little Beverly learning that it's safe to do that. And who better than to have big Beverly do it?
Yeah,
Because I know what little Beverly's gone through. So sometimes it's like, what is it that you're feeling? Oh, okay, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling
yeah,
scared. Okay, we accept that. I hear you.
yeah. But we're going to get through it anyway, step by
Yeah,
step.
yeah. And what we're going to do is break this down simply. So,
Yeah,
anyone listening, if you're in that place where you're really tired, right? First of all, what are you doing for yourself? Do you need a drink? Do you need to stop? Do you need to sit somewhere? If you're at work, can you go outside for some fresh air for 5 minutes? It's that
yeah,
simple. If it's bigger things, like I'm, I've got to get this essay in. Okay, give yourself time. You're going to do this in chunks. You're not going to do it. You're not going to eat the elephant in a hole. You're going to break it
poor
down.
elephant, what's it done to you?
And that means also verbalizing it to, like, within the family, so that the
Yeah,
family can understand, I can't do everything, I can do this, but I can't do that because
yeah,
this is what I've got on my deadline.
Yeah. So going back to my original question that Cheryl asked, how do we keep so positive all of the time? The answer is we don't.
No, we're human beings,
Yeah,
but
we're not robots.
no, we're not. It's about being able to accept. It's that word, accept ourselves as we are. So today, I've got no makeup on. If I'm being critical of myself, I would have preferred to have washed my hair, blow dried it. I haven't done that. I've pulled it back, but I wanted to come onto the podcast because it's important that we get
Yeah.
this out for people. And as we've already said, or we always say, we're raw, authentic, and uncut.
And I'd like for people to notice that I haven't got my hat on today. So this is me being unmasked because I like my hats.
And isn't it funny? Because although I'm feeling lower in energy, I'm also very proud because there would have been a time that I wouldn't have been able to sit here with no makeup on, with hair that could do with washing, and admit that I was feeling a little bit vulnerable.
But that's where I applaud you and us for turning up and doing this and being real, because there are many people out there that wouldn't be able to do this. And also, we don't always want to paint a picture that everything is all right all of the time and we've got all of the answers, because we just don't.
No,
And we want
and
to show the reality of living with trauma and living with the ups and downs of being authentic and taking that mask off and saying it's okay to take the mask off.
yeah, and it's okay to say today, I'm not skipping around. I'm going to take it slower. And
Yeah.
sometimes I like taking duvet days.
Oh, I know, because you've spoken about your duvet days so much.
But it's like on Saturday, I know Saturday is clear, and
Yes.
I want to be in the garden. I don't know what. I'm not saying I'm going to do loads, but even if I just do an hour in the garden, I want
Yeah.
to know that I am in the garden, and
Yeah.
I will take that day as it comes, but I'm not putting anything in it. And that's another part of self-care.
Yeah. I also wanted just to touch upon this whilst we're doing this not so positive video podcast. Um, whilst I've got this one big thing on my brain, like you've got the big thing that you're doing, the deadline, I can't seem to put all of my energy or distract myself like I usually do into um, something else. That's what I usually do. If something's really overwhelming me over here, I need to have that control of something. So I usually do more studying. And I have got studying to do, but I just at this moment in time can't seem to have two big things going on at once. And I'm finding that more and more as I'm getting older.
But I also think that's a positive.
Do you?
Because that's a positive, because you're, as much as it's uncomfortable a bit and as much as it's different to what you've experienced in the past, it's showing that you're being more in the moment. You're allowing
Okay.
space in your brain. You're allowing yourself it's another facet of self-care. It's like, I'm going to keep myself here so that I have the cognitive ability and the openness to do this. I'm going to focus on this rather than distract, because that's another way to disassociate.
Okay. And I do that a lot.
Yeah,
Whenever I've found life has got too much emotionally, I
yeah.
would usually ground myself through more training or more qualifications.
And that's a real
Yeah.
another survival skill as well.
But it's enabled me to grow.
Absolutely. And all of these things,
Yeah.
everything is good. So what we're looking to do is acknowledge the survival skills and how we've overcome, but also, in the words of Brené Brown, which I know I always say, have the courage to be vulnerable and allow ourselves to balance and offset and have those quieter times as well, which is really, really important. And
So you'll be proud to know I've got a massage booked in for Saturday. So I've looked ahead.
Yeah,
I'm
perfect.
like, I've got this to do and this to do, and then the following week is busy, so I need that downtime. So even though I am distracting and dissociating, I'm also putting the self-care in.
Yeah, and the great thing is you're looking ahead and you're giving yourself that space to contemplate. And now you've made me think about it. I might go and book a sauna on the beach
Good girl.
for Saturday afternoon after I've been in the garden for a while. So there you go. We're giving some little tips there. So if anybody's got any questions that they'd like us to answer, and we'll always try and be as honest as possible and authentic, please email us at BreakingTheCycleToStepForward@gmail.com. The email address will be below the video and also the podcast. Chris, your last thought.
Um, Take your mask off. Feel uncomfortable, and that will make you comfortable eventually. And also just be kind to yourself, care for yourself. And if things are not going your way, phone that friend, reach out to that human in your life that you can speak to. And as you said right at the beginning, a problem shared is a problem solved, or
Halved.
something
A
like
problem
that.
shared is a problem halved.
There you go, Pete. As we said, we're very tired. So Bev's just told you what the quote is that I've just completely mucked up. All right. Anyway, it's a bye from me. What's your last thoughts, Bev?
Well, I'm just going to say, the thing I've said to you is about speaking, and even speaking here right now, I can feel some of that stress leaving me because it's not internalizing all the time. I'm not holding on to it. And because I've spoken it and I've become aware, I've relaxed my shoulders again and my legs. And it's amazing how simple self-care can be, because we think it has to be lots of large things and tick, tick, tick. So just be aware for that. For the person who's feeling really low, think about one good thing that we've been talking about that you can do for yourself right now, and one good thing that you can do for yourself maybe at the weekend.
Yeah. Well done. Well said.
Okay, well, it's time to go and say goodbye. Goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me, everyone. See you in the next podcast. Bye for now.
Bye bye.